I just passed the 4-year mark of my divorce finalizing, so I thought I would share with you the 4 things that I have learned. The first thing, you're allowed to be angry. A smidge under a year before my divorce finalized, I started going to therapy. I recommend therapy to everyone. And I was sitting in my therapist's office one day and I said, I'm just so angry. And she looked at me and she said, what do you do with that anger? I said, nothing. Like, I don't want to, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. And she said, what if you just felt it? And in that moment, I gave myself permission to just be angry. And the anger gave me so many beautiful things. And the first thing that gave me was this acceptance and moment to really start to understand what had happened, what had been happening. Because I think that maybe I was still in denial about it, despite having the evidence very clearly in front of me. So I started to feel the anger. You're allowed to be angry. And I remember I had gone home that night and my now ex-partner, I can't remember what he was trying to do, but he said, well, basically, like, what's wrong with you? And I said, I'm just so angry. And he, made suggestions. And I said, my therapist said to just feel the anger. And that's what I'm doing right now. And it was it was almost like the floodgates opened in a way because I wasn't yelling. I'm not a yeller. I'm a pacifist. Like, yelling really freaks me out. I wasn't throwing things. I wasn't having a fit or anything like that. I was just sitting there. And the anger eventually started to feel like fire inside of me. And that fire eventually pushed out and created this ring of fire, if you will. And something so beautiful about that ring of fire is it kept me safe. The fire surrounded me, and the anger is what propelled me out of that relationship. And I'll give a little here because I think there's probably more women than want to admit it who were or are or will be in a similar situation that I was in. But that anger kept me safe. And anger has been sold to us as this terrible emotion that you're never allowed to have, that has no benefits to your life, and that is a lie. I think that anger is one of the most beneficial emotions that you can feel. What you do with your anger is your choice. I chose to just sit there and feel it. It's important that you choose to handle your anger in the right way. But what I've also learned is eventually you have to examine those flames of anger and decide when it is okay to extinguish those flames. Because if you don't, it will eventually start to burn you. Anger is so great. It'll propel you out of that unsafe situation. Ladies, like those who get it. But eventually, like, you got to figure out how to lay it down. And that's something that I'm still really working on, if I'm being honest with you. It's hard to do. I spent a year studying for the LSAT, prepping to go to law school, because it quenched the thirst of my anger in a weird way, thinking like, this is it. This is how I can get justice for myself. And then I took the LSAT earlier this year. And the more I thought about going to law school, I loved studying for it, by the way. I had this brilliant tutor. Like, I really enjoyed the process. But the more I thought about being a lawyer the rest of my life, the more my life just seemed grayscale. And I really love Monet. My nephew is in preschool, and he is a biter. He'll bite. And I looked him dead in the eye one of the times that I was home, and I said, listen, buddy, the world's tough. Bite or be bitten. Like, clearly I'm joking. I'm not trying to get my nephew to bite people. But when I got home, back to Colorado, I really started to sit with this bite or be bitten, advice that I had offered. And I started to wonder if maybe I wasn't taking my own advice of bite or be bitten in real life as a protective measure. And if maybe that didn't come from some sort of muscle memory, flame of anger that I was trying to protect myself with. So you have to learn how and when to release the flames of your anger. But you're allowed to be angry. Lesson 2, you don't hate men. I have had people say to me, Julie, it just seems like you hate men. Julie hates men. Julie, you're just so rigid. And that is so, so, so ignorant, insane, and ludicrous. Because some of the best people in my life, some of the people that was next to me when I needed out of that marriage were men. If I hated men, I would not be where I am. But I've really sat with this idea of I hate men, and I hear a lot of people say it. I hear a lot of women say it. And I think for me, maybe for you as well, you don't hate men, you hate what men have done. Because the more I sat with I hate men, that's the conclusion I kept getting to. I don't hate men, I hate what men have done. I hate what men have done to me. I hate what men have done to the planet. I hate what men have done to each other. I hate that inside of the patriarchal sect of society that we have created, we've told men that the only way to be a man is beat your chest and run into war, whether that be literal or metaphorical. The only way to express anger is this one way, and that one way is violent. And if you feel it any other way, you're not a man. I hate that is what has been done to men. So I don't hate men. I hate what men have done. And I really hope that eventually we can get to a society. I don't know if we ever will in my lifetime or ever in general. I hate that women my age, I'm a millennial in my mid-30s, were sold this idea that, this is exactly how life is going to be, and you're going to find this romantic partner, and he's going to be Prince Charming, and yada, 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 and you have to forgive him no matter what he does. It's bullshit. And that makes me so sad, because I really think that there is value in a meaningful, safe relationship. I think that there is value in a relationship where there's equitable division of emotional labor, of household chores, and those things sound so great. So many women were sold that idea is exactly what would happen. And for so many of us, that's not what happened. Anyways, don't hate men. Hate what men have done. Lesson number 3. You can, in fact, run away. You can move your body physically, and you can take that body that you're moving physically and go to the airport and get on a plane. Go to New York. Go to LA. Go to Italy. Go to London. Go to France. Just go. If you have the means, you have the way, just go. If you're anything like me, I was raised in rural conservative America. You did not travel. And if you did travel, you were going in a car. The Midwest thing is, if you can get there in a car within 16 hours, congratulations, you're going to drive. So needless to say, never traveled internationally. In fact, when I got my passport at 32, I said, Mom, I got my passport. When I turned 33, I'm going to Rome. I've always wanted to go to Rome. And she said, oh, don't get taken. Like I'm in a Liam Neeson movie and I was going to get taken. Mom, I'm too old for that. Okay? They ain't looking for women like me in that situation. But when I turned 33, that's exactly what I did. I went, in my first international trip, I soloed Italy. And it was the time of my life. I would go back and do it in an instant. It was the best decision I could have made in that moment for myself. And I think through the process of traveling as much as I have, what I've learned is you cannot stay in environments that were suffocating you. And if you're from my hometown and you're watching this and you feel like that is a dig at you, it is not a dig at you whatsoever. Because what I'm saying is it is important that you explore the world around you. Not only is it going to teach you about yourself, it is going to teach you about others, and that is going to give you maybe a starting point for forgiveness for yourself. Because I think forgiving yourself is something that's very, very difficult, but that's another video. But when you travel, you give yourself time to learn and explore, of course, all those things, but you also start to really understand a little bit more about who you are, why you were in the situations that you were in, why you stayed in those situations for so long. So go travel. Lesson number 4, you're going to feel lost, and that is okay. Congratulations. Welcome to the real world. You think you're the only one who's lost? You're not. You're not. Nobody knows what they're doing. If you're anything like me, you got married in your 20s. I thought it was what I was supposed to do because that's what everyone did where I'm from. It was, in fact, not what I was supposed to do, but listening to your guts, another video. And so instead of in my 20s exploring and learning about myself and figuring out who I was trying to make this marriage work that was never going to work. I felt like I was trying to bend steel. Looking back now, I can almost feel those emotions that I had at the time. And I was doing everything that I thought that I could. And I was still married to someone who saw any ounce of ambition in me as a threat to them. So it comes down to choose your hard. You're going to be lost either way, but choose your hard. And I'll give you an example of choosing your hard because it's hard to stay married. It's hard to go when you are in the situation that I was in, which I'm sure a lot of you have been in. One Christmas, I knew that my now ex-partner was really into NASCAR, so I got him this NASCAR experience where they could drive a NASCAR at a NASCAR track. They opened it and said, "Oh, you should have just got me a chainsaw." What did they get me for Christmas? Nothing. But when they returned to the office, they dug out an old used waffle maker, wrapped it up in my Batman wrapping paper, got the ingredients for waffles, and said, "Merry Christmas" a month later. That's pretty hard. Choose your hard, go. Because fast forward to my 35th birthday, which I had in the fall, and my girlfriends all got together and they got me a cake. They sang to me. They had a spread of all my favorite foods, and then we played presidential trivia because they know I'm into U.S. history. Choose your hard. Where do you want to be lost? Do you want to be lost with Trash Boy or with your girlfriends playing presidential trivia? So be lost, be confused, change your mind 100 times. Literally nobody knows what you're doing, and then we get to the end of this thing and we're worm meat. That's right, the bugs will feast upon your body. So be lost. It's okay. It's okay to be lost. But be willing to learn, not only about the people around you, be willing to learn about yourself. And that sometimes is a really difficult road to travel. Learn what you like, learn what you don't like. Heck, something small about me that I learned is I kind of like a little hot sauce on my tacos. Yeah, I didn't know that about me. It took me until I was 33 to realize a little hot sauce on my tacos. There was a little taco shop up from my studio apartment that I moved into, and it was like a little treat. And I learned to like hot sauce. I didn't know that until I was in my 30s. And while you're lost, don't assume rejection means failure, even though it's really hard to not internalize it. Doesn't mean failure. It just means redirection. Rejection's redirection. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and share. Actually, send me a DM on one of my social media accounts. I will tell you this is really far out of scope of content that I generally make. Normally on my social media, I do like funny news stories and stupid news. But sometimes when I sit down to write, this is what comes out. And it's really therapeutic for me. So I thought, oh, if it's helpful for me, maybe it's helpful for somebody else. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you.